So a little bit about Trello. Trello has about 13 million users, and we have about 16 people on our sales team, and they all started in the last 8 to 10 months, basically, so it's a fairly new team, and we're ramping up pretty quickly. So slide, please. Anytime. Oh, not that slide. All right, thanks. So I want to talk a little bit about once you get somebody on the phone and having a demo with them, having a conversation with them. And I think that this is a skill that most people think that they're really doing very well, and most people are still struggling with it. So it's been a big emphasis on our team as we continue to do continuing education to work on how to talk to your customer during a demo. So one of the things that we talk a lot about is, if someone's giving you 30 minutes of their day, 60 minutes of their day, there's a reason for that. They're not just doing it for their health. And so really trying to understand why somebody wants to talk to a salesperson for a half an hour to an hour. So getting to the root of, why are you looking to join this call? What are your objectives? What are you hoping to accomplish? And really asking, when I sent that email to you, when I left you that voicemail and you got back to me and wanted to set up the demo, what resonated for you? Why did you want to do this? And really thinking about, how are you going to connect with them, let them talk? People love to talk about themselves. It's usually their favorite subject. So letting them have the ability to do that, and then really listening, if we go to the next slide, really listening to what they have to say, taking notes on that. Getting an understanding of what they're doing, and then coming back. I don't know why my slides are so wonky, but coming back to that in the process later on. Asking them what their process is. So for Trello, we're a visual process management tool, so this is relevant to us, but I think it's relevant for everybody. How are you doing this currently? And then asking them what's working about what you're doing. What are you doing now that you think is working really well for your team? And then tying back the pain points that they bring to you to make it seem like the things that we're going to improve on are going to be more like the things that you think are working now. So keeping them positive on their process while trying to find the pain points of what's not working. So that when you come back to that, you're tying that back to something they're feeling confident about that they've already established. And can we go to the next slide? Okay. And one of the big things that I think people don't do is that they ask and they don't listen, which what I mentioned before. I think if you always have a notebook right next to your phone or wherever you're talking from, and you're jotting those things down, even if you don't bring it back at the end of that conversation, you're using it then in your next follow-up with them when you're saying, I remember when we talked last week, you mentioned, whatever it might be, tying that back and kind of doling it out throughout your follow-ups. It's really hard to have good follow-up with people. It's really hard to not just have an email message that says, hey, I'm just checking in. We all know just checking in emails are kind of the worst thing ever. So if you can get a couple of little tidbits from your last conversation with them and dole it out for your next 3, 4, 5 trips with them, that's a good way to keep having personalized conversation with them without having to go back to that just checking in well. And then when they're talking, they're going to ask you questions about your products, they're going to ask you questions about your support team or your legal review or whatever it is. And those are usually just pain points in disguise. They want to understand, what that's going to be like for them. They want to understand what your customer service levels are like. They want to understand, do I stay with you? Do I go to an account manager? What does that mean when I come on board? And they're asking all those questions in a way to really prompt you to sell them on those features. So really take the questions, don't just answer them straight up, dig into that a little bit more and take that as one of the bigger pain points from your conversation that you can circle back to later on. Next slide. I guess that was it. Oh, well, that was it.
Awesome. Thanks, Kristen.
Thanks.